This is Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Hope all of Philadelphia is having a great week. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so right now for the best Sixers coverage. Hit that red sub button down below or head to youtube.com/76erstv. A lot to get to on the show today. We first want to get you caught up on everything going down on the tampering front with Philadelphia. The Sixers right now under investigation for tampering after James Harden took that big pay cut. Harden's pay cut did pave the way for Philly to sign and bring in PJ Tucker as well as Daniel House. Really big players for what the Sixers want to do this upcoming year and accomplish. And what I also thought was interesting, and when my antennas started kind of monitoring the situation here, is during that weekend in which James Harden, on the first weekend of NBA free agency, didn't sign that deal, he was set to meet with the organization in the Hamptons. That's where Michael Rubin was hosting that all-white party with the who's who of celebrities, and that was somewhat curious at the time because Michael Rubin was on hand for those negotiations, but he gave up his ownership stake because it was a conflict of interest with Fanatics continuing to grow. So right there, I was like, okay, here we go again. Adam Silver going to try to put the hammer down and launch this tampering investigation, and it is still underway. As for what Doc Rivers had to say about these allegations, talked about this on Vince Carter's news show. You handle it because it's not true. So he's in denial mode here. I mean, honestly, when James Harden did this and said this, we didn't know what we were going to do and the money that we were getting. And listen, James won too because James could have opted in for a one-year deal instead. Instead, he signed for 3 years. We gave him that 3-year contract, and the parties won in a lot of ways. And listen, it worked out for us. It worked out for James. This is not something at all. I guarantee you Daryl Morey had no idea what James was going to do. I remember talking to him on the eve, and he was like, hey, I'm not sure. We have 5 hours left. That was Daryl Morey. He had no idea, honestly. Really, we just believed that James was not going to opt in, that he was going to try to do a longer-term deal, but I didn't know, and I can tell you that is for sure. So I'm not sure what the NBA investigation is going to entail here. Are they going to take Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers' phone to see if they were sending out secretive texts in the lead up to free agency? Hey, James, opt out, take less. We'll give you some Fanatics stock on the side from Michael Rubin. Then we'll be able to sign PJ Tucker, Daniel House, and build out the peripheries of this roster. I just want to know, what does this investigation entail, and how can they find the Sixers guilty? And what the NBA did last year, I thought was stupid. They docked the Bulls and what was the other team? The Heat draft picks. So you impacted your coverage of the NBA draft by taking away draft picks instead of 60 selections. It was only 58. That didn't matter. Make it a fine, and at the end of the day, who cares about tampering? I don't. Do you? Let me know in the comments section. M for matters, WC for who cares. Any business at any level tampers to a certain degree, and it makes the product for the NBA even better. So I want to hear from you in the comment section right now. That'll be the pinned comment for today's show. If you get hit with that YouTube ad break, just scroll on down and get your votes in. Before we get to this Tobias Harris trade idea to the Utah Jazz, let's check in on James Harden. So he recently spoke and said Philadelphia is where he wants to be, looks to be in better shape during these offseason workouts. He played well at Rico Hines' first summer run at UCLA. Rico Hines, formerly an assistant with the Sacramento Kings, now an assistant with the well-respected Toronto Raptors. And Harden looked a little bit slim. He was hitting some knockdown three-pointers, getting to the rack. That is a good sign for him going up against other NBA talent. When asked about staying in Philadelphia, he said, this is where I want to be. This is where I wanted to go. This is where I want to be, Harden said. This is where I want to win, and I think we have the pieces to accomplish that goal, Harden said. From my first day with the Sixers organization, the team and the fans have helped me feel at home here in Philadelphia. And him returning back to some semblance of the form of James Harden that we saw at the Houston Rockets, I'm not asking him to be a 30 points per game guy. What I am asking him to do is to get in better shape. He becomes a better, more consistent shooter, offensive player. It makes the Sixers a lot more dangerous. And even if he's like the third or fourth offensive option, and you have Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey leading the charge, that's okay. I just don't want to see playoff flameouts. I don't want to see playoff no-shows. And I don't want to see him come into camp in terrible shape. has to be in better shape. And so far this summer, it looks as though that is the case. Now, if you're a loyal subscriber of what we do here on Philadelphia 76ers Now, as we've been able to grow immensely over the last calendar year, I want you to type Real One in the comment section right now because we greatly appreciate all of your support. YouTube.com/76ers TV or hit that red subscribe button, Real One, if you're a loyal subscriber. If you haven't subscribed, do so right now. As for that trade idea that includes Tobias Harris, it's a deal between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Utah Jazz. This trade thrown out there by Bleacher Report. And I wanted to discuss it because it's interesting on a couple of levels. For what it does for the Sixers right now, but also the financial wiggle room that it gives this organization in the future. So this trade, 76ers receive Bojan Bogdanovic and Patrick Beverley. The Jazz received Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, a 2029 first-round pick, and then second-round picks in 2023 and 2024. What the Sixers accomplish with this trade, they erase the base salary for Tobias Harris and wipe it off the books for 2023-2024 of $39.3 million. What does that allow Philadelphia to do? Allows them to target a big-time free agent like LeBron James, maybe even Chris Middleton, if they decide to go all in, push their poker chips to the middle of the table, and maximize this roster around Joel Embiid if things don't work out. Also, Bogdanovic and Beverley, somewhat intriguing pieces. I would like to hold on to Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle because I think it makes the roster better. But Bogdanovic and Beverley are on expiring deals. So you don't have to worry about their contracts moving into the future. You don't have to worry about Toby's deal. And in the immediacy, you get shooting, you get defense, and you get another dog. Bogdanovic is about a 40% three-point guy. He doesn't play good defense, but Patrick Beverley gives you that. Gives you that dog mentality for a team that I believe has been a little mentally fickle when it comes to the rigors of NBA playoff basketball. And I wouldn't make the trade because I think Harris over time has become somewhat underrated. And I think that Matisse Thybulle, if he's able, and I'm a little bit hopeful here, if he's able to knock down consistent three-point shots, he can be a very valuable rotational piece at the NBA level. So I'd probably pass on that trade, but Bogdanovic and Beverley are really good players, and if it gives you financial wiggle room going into the future to make a big splash in free agency, that right there a little bit appealing from a fiscal standpoint. So let's look at the trade one more time. Sixers receive Bogdanovic as well as Patrick Beverley. The Jazz receive Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, that first-round pick in 2029, and then second-round picks in 23 as well as 24. Who wins the deal? I want to hear from you. 76 for the Sixers, UTA for the Jazz. Get that comment section popping and sound off what you think. And if you have any questions about what we do here at Chat Sports, what I do for my professional life, any questions about the Sixers, life advice, feel free to hit me up on social media at Chase_Senior. Would love and appreciate all of your follows on both Twitter and Instagram. It's the same social media handle on both platforms.